From humble beginnings to the pinnacle of success, one man's journey proves that with determination, anything is possible. This is Catch as Catch Can with George Tinsley Sr. Inspiring conversations of triumph over adversity. Here's George.
Hello, I want to let everyone know how excited I am today to have the opportunity to have two of my close friends, two people that played on 2 and 3 national championship basketball D2 championships, that I've got an opportunity to have them on my podcast, Catch as Catch Can. So I want to introduce Dick O'Neill. Dick was a transplant from New York that we brought down to Kentucky Wesleyan in 1965. He, along with myself and 4 other guys, were 6 freshmen that came in who graduated from Wesleyan on time, I'm proud to say. And I think that may still stand as a record. Also, I want to introduce Dallas Thornton. Dallas and I go way back to 1963 when I entered Male High School as a sophomore and Dallas was a junior. We played together for 2 years there and 3 years at Kentucky Wesleyan and had the opportunity to win numerous championships. So, guys, I appreciate you taking the time, and I know this has not been an easy task to be on the podcast and talk about some of our Hall of Fame nominated, we're nominees for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame up there in Massachusetts, and maybe one day we might be able to make it over that hump. But during this podcast, I want to talk about your particular careers and how playing at Kentucky Wesleyan helped each of us be able to start our careers and doing various different things in our livelihoods up to today. So welcome, and appreciate you both being here.
Always, you two are my favorites, so you know that. So anytime I get an opportunity to involve myself with you guys, it's always a good day for me.
Dallas, welcome, and tell us a little bit about how your career started off playing basketball in Louisville, Kentucky.
Like you say, I went to Male High School. I went there in 61, 62 was my first year. And of course, you and I became friends and teammates in 63. Like you, myself, was from very humble surroundings. Neither one of our parents had a whole lot, but one thing that they did have, and I think we both got from them, was respect. And they earned respect and they gave respect and they taught us those values. Male High School is quite a history of sports. We played basketball. You and I also ran track. And I even played a little baseball.
Right.
But I think we had 2 of the toughest coaches in the history of basketball coaching. And Dick can attest to one of those, but we also had Gene Rose, George and I, as well as Guy Strong. 2 gentlemen that's quite athletes their own rights and taught us about how to win and what it took to win. They never took any stuff off the players. I tell my nephew, I don't know if he could have played for either one of my coaches. Because what they said is what we did. We was able to learn a lot more than just basketball at Male High School. We learned the beginning of our life as adults, coming to be adults. I remember, and George, you may remember this, we was at a road trip. I always think about that. We was on a road trip up in Bourbon, up in Lexington. We were playing Bourbon County. And then it's Glenn, I don't know how his bag got in the locker room, but I remember Gene Rose drop kicking his suitcase with all his clothes in it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, he put a hole right through the center and Glenn's suitcase, and he never even stopped talking.
Each time I talk to Glenn, he brings that very situation up because I think it scared all of us. Me, I was just a sophomore that particular year, and when I saw that, it about I don't know what I almost done on myself.
Well, I think Gene Rose had a passion for scaring us straight.
Yeah.
They had that opportunity to play for him. You played for a man who was determined. He taught you how to win, what you needed to do to win. And then later on, George played for Guy Strong as I did, and Guy Strong is my number one hero. Yeah. He used to come and get me when I couldn't get places. He'd come pick me up in snow and get me to practice or to school. Even though I had a father figure at home, he still came and did all those things that fathers do for their son.
Yeah.
And he didn't just do it for me, but you always feel like if he done this for you, that you're special.
Well, Dallas, let me say this about Coach Strong, and I think we all say this probably more behind your back, is that you were his favorite player, no matter what happened. So I could clearly understand that.
Well, only because I had seniority, I knew him longer. The day I turned 15 years old, was getting ready to go to Mail, and he told me to stop. I was at football practice. He told me to stop playing football if I wanted to be a basketball player.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we had just met. I don't know how he had that kind of knowledge or foresight, but that's what he told me the first time I met him. And that was it. So I took my little pants and shoulder pads and my little football equipment off, and I never went back to the football field.
I think Dallas Gene Rose did the same thing to me because I called myself going out for football, and he said, no. I did cross country during the early part, but I think Coach Strong saw how great you could be, and of course he probably saw those knees also that were.
Yeah. That's what Dick and I was talking about. We had a team with the worst knees.
Right. Yes. So Dallas, I recall, I'm just going to mention this in high school, when we would be playing and all of a sudden when the competition got tough or when Gene Rhodes would snap, I might say, it seemed like you personally would go to a whole new level. I mean, you went from just being out there to all of a sudden, follow me, guys, I'll take you home. And that was something that all through our career together at Wesleyan and also at high school, I always saw that in you, that when times got tough, you clicked. And I always thought that it came from back prior to even going to high school, that's something you experienced that said you had to take the leadership role and you had to kick it into to another gear.
Well, John, it's ironic that you say that because and I think Dick know that I was the oldest of 6 children. And my brothers and sisters there, I had to be the mama and the daddy because my mom and dad both had to work, and sometimes they were still at work, and I had to go home and do what mothers and fathers do.
Right.
And so I think that's part of that piece where you just kind of kick into that mode where you just kind of take over, and you do it without even knowing it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you plan on doing. It just happens.
Yeah.
I remember the time when we was in Africa, and we'll probably talk about that later, but I remember the time we was in Africa, and we almost got in a fight with the whole country.
Yes, we did, because of you.
Yeah. That was because of you. Yeah.
They did something to Roger, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They ran him right into the wall. That's exactly.
Yeah, so I ran one of them into.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I don't think it was a wall, Dick, because there was no walls out there.
No, it was like brackets. No, it was like brackets that held up, which was worse because he got all tangled up in them, and
Yeah, I did.
that was the time I was glad you did what you did. That's I was a little scared after that, but
I recall the ball being loose and Dallas going down to pick it up. And their natural sport was soccer, and they kicked it and almost kicked you. I remember that particular instance in when we got into that big brawl over there. Yeah. So, but that's good, and we'll dive into some of these memories a little bit later as we get through this. But when you in your senior year, given your accomplishments and everything with University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, and all the Western Kentucky, and all the other big colleges around, and you were, as I recall, number 4. I think you were behind Unsell and I forget who else, a couple of other guys that they had you rated behind. That you decided to choose Kentucky Wesleyan, a small college. What went into that thought process?
Well, it was simple. Guy Strong. Guy Strong was the coach at Kentucky Wesleyan. He had been my coach at high school. My mother loved him as much as I did. And I don't even know, well, you two may not know because you hadn't got there yet. But after 2 weeks at Wesleyan, I never saw another black person. And so I was ready to go home. And my mama called and told me that she thought Coach Strong told me I ain't coming home because I ain't even got nowhere to sleep no more. Didn't go for 2 weeks. They'd already broke my plate and took my bed. And George, Dick, it was strange because I really did like University of Louisville. I never really thought about going to University of Kentucky because of the times that it was and the conditions at that school. And when I played in the All-Star game, the East-West All-Star game that they used to have back then, Lancaster, who was the assistant coach at Kentucky Wesleyan, told me I could come to Kentucky if I could get Unsell to go to Kentucky. If we could be roommates. And I thought, well, I don't need no roommate, and I don't need nobody to go with. I could go where I had almost 100 basketball scholarships, so I didn't feel like I needed to piggyback on someone else just to be their roommate so they could have 2 blacks. And as you guys know, Unsell didn't go to UK either. He went to Europe.
yeah.
I didn't go to Louisville because I didn't want to be going to school down the street.
Right.
I needed to kind of grow a little, I think, and my thought process was, and if I go somewhere, and I didn't have no other place in mind except maybe Western Kentucky, which I would show you what a glutton for punishment I am because Gene Rose was down there coaching.
Yeah.
So,
Assistant coach.
Yeah, he's assistant coach at Western, and Guy Strong was at Wesleyan, and so those are my 2 choices.
Yeah, yeah. So Dallas, you went to Kentucky Wesleyan the very first year there, and I guess that was '65, and was not that you all didn't have that great a year. How did you make it through that time frame?
Well, it was very difficult because coming from Male High School, my last year in Male, your junior year, we was 27-4 and got beaten on the last second shot that brought it some history change into basketball in Louisville.
Right.
And I thought that if I went to Kentucky Wesleyan, George, Dick, I would just. It wasn't that far. My mom and dad could come and see me, which my mom did. My dad didn't come see me until my senior year in college. My mom came and my Aunt Evelyn, and they came often. And I thought that if they would come to see me, they would, which they did. And I think my mom God rest his soul, it was such an influence on me. And whatever she wanted, I did it.
Also, you could play as a freshman. That was big also.
Well, I didn't know that until I got there.
Oh, wow.
Because
Okay.
everybody else had freshman teams. And I didn't know that you could play at Kentucky Wesleyan because we was D2 and we had less than 500, 500 boys on campus.
1,000, I guess. Dallas is what yeah.
That was the rule.
Yeah.
And so I played. But Judge, you right, we was terrible. We was 9 and 12.
Wow. Yeah.
And that team, they was kind of used to losing, so losing didn't affect them like it affected me. I remember going over Coach Strong's house and talking to him about getting some players. And he got some players. He got George and Joe and Dick and Tommy.
Steve Deskins, Van Stemmer.
And somebody else.
Van Stemmer.
Yeah. Oh, Lord God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He got some players, and we put together a team, and you know, he kept only like 4 guys from that team.
Yeah. But keep in mind, he brought in Sam Smith and Jesse Flynn also that year.
I see. That's what I was getting ready to tell you. We had 2 transfers, 6 freshmen, and 4 guys, me, Don Bradley, Roger Cordell, and
Ernie.
And that was
Barker too, right?
And Danny.
Yeah, Danny Barker. So
Barker,
he kept 5 players. So it was 5 of us from a team of like 14 or 15 from my freshman year. And so we began, I think the first game you played in Western, we played Moorhead.
Yeah. At home.
And we beat them, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We only lost 3 games from that point on at home.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You know, that was a start, Dallas. You and Sam and Roger in particular, and of course Donnie Bradley was the other starter on that particular team. Our practices were tougher than the games, you know, and so as you were mentioning this, and Dick and I and Tommy, we talk about Tommy Hopgood. We talk about this, all of us, that we only lost 3 games in our 4 years, and so it may have been less when your remaining 3 years, because one of the losses, Dick, was against SIU at Wesleyan in our senior year, right?
No, my junior year, your sophomore year, we lost to SIU, walked with Dickie Garrett and them, and they went to the NIT, and we went to the Division II.
Right. And
they won the NIT, and we used to think we could have won it where we could have, but that might have been the greatest thing that happened to us to continue our legacy.
Yeah. So Dallas, we walked through to the finals, and we had Joel Utley and Roy Pickle on, and Joel speaks to it very eloquently and matter of factly what happened during my freshman year and your sophomore year that got us to the finals. But we get there, and we have a lot of success in the finals, and we're only 45 minutes away from Owensboro, our home, so we had a lot of fans. Tell me what was going through your mind in that year after coming from 9 and 12, you said, or 9 and 15.
Yes, and that year we ended up, that we were talking about my sophomore year, your freshman, you guys freshman year, we ended up 24-6. If we remember, we was trailing by 7 points with like 27 seconds to go. 8 points with like 27 seconds.
South Carolina State
with Bobby Lewis.
Mm-hmm. And Julius
Keys.
Julius Keys, yes.
Julius Keys. And we came back, and when this was without the 3-pointer, this was with the only 2 points, and the strategy was, which worked to perfection, was we're going to deny Bobby Lewis the ball here. And that's the only person they were trying to get it to. So they turned the ball over like 3 times in a row. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
With 12 seconds left, I fouled out. And we were still down by 4 points.
Okay.
And I fouled out, and then Don Bradley hit a jump shot, and in some kind of way we got the ball back with like 3 or 4 seconds, and that's when Sam threw the hook, right?
George did missed the free throw. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, you were at the free throw line. That's how with
that's how Sam get a rebound in it.
No, he tipped it. Remember, he just kind of slapped at it. And it went in. He kind of tipped it.
So when did he throw the hook?
To beat Southern Illinois in the championship game.
Yeah, championship game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
You're right, Dick. Yeah, you're right.
That's all right. So let me just kind of jump ahead here because I don't want to leave Dick out of here. So I want to make sure I get in some time there. But I want to mention, Dallas. We win that championship. We win that. And I want both of you all can kind of comment on this one, please, Dick. Is that we win the championship, and we have an opportunity to go either to the NIT or we were going to represent. Dick, hold on. We represent the United States as goodwill ambassadors and go to travel to West Africa. Do you ever remember that decision?
Well, I didn't know about the NIT, but I thought we lost that opportunity when we lost SIU at home.
Yeah, what happened was that was our sophomore year, George. Dallas's junior year, because we were the defending champs. We were
That's right.
And we had an opportunity to go, and I think we put it to a vote. And you knew I wanted to go to the NIT to go home because one of my dreams was to play in the Garden.
Yeah.
You know,
that one we were to represent going to the Mediterranean area. Goodwill tour there, and that's what that one was. Okay,
right.
Okay. But let's just jump back again to that freshman year because all three of us, this was the opportunity to go to Africa and represent the country and represent our families. And I know Dallas, for you and I, we barely had been out of Louisville, Kentucky.
That's right.
And the only people we knew that was traveling abroad were going to Vietnam. So, it was a great experience. So both of you, just Dick, you tell me a little bit about.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, I was in double jeopardy because of the airplane strike at the time. Don't forget, I got on a train at Grand Central to come back to Wesleyan because we had those two-a-days to get ready to go, get equipment and all that other stuff. And I had to get a train home, and I didn't have a sleeper. So I'm on the train taking it to Cincinnati. I get off in Cincinnati, take another train to Louisville, and then bus to Owensboro. Now, I'm thinking we're going to fly out to get out of here. We're going to fly out. That didn't happen because of the strike. So same thing. We got on a bus to Louisville or to Cincinnati and took the train back to JFK. Only we had sleepers this time, if you remember. We had individual things. And then even when we got to the airport, we still didn't know JFK how we were going out. And if you remember, the only one flying at that time was Air France. So somehow, I don't know how, they got 13 or 14 people seats on that plane going out because that was the only one flying. And in New York at the time, people were looking, the airport was packed because people couldn't go anywhere. And that's how, then that started our thing. The confusion with that started our whole adventure. Yeah.
Do you all remember that the first night that we was in Chad, we woke up to gunfire?
The thing that I remember at that particular night and our early morning was that everyone came over to our room. Me and Joe both in our room together. You two room together. And that was the first time the black and the white were rooming together.
I was going to talk about that a little bit.
And we can you can talk about that in a minute, but came over and we were looking out the balcony and the natives were coming through and they were singing. And I remember Dick asking, what are they saying? And I made the comment, Dick, they said they're coming to get you all tomorrow morning. Like I knew what they were saying, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was one vivid thing I recall. But that experience over there for what was it, 7 weeks?
Weeks.
Yeah, 7 weeks was a highlight, I think, of all of our lives that we'll never forget.
Yeah. Well, the big thing for me was the first night when he gave out the roommates, and I found out I was rooming with Dallas. That made my trip. That made my trip because I was just I knew we were going to have some fun and things like that, and I think he paired us together for a reason, Dal. Coach Strong, he was always thinking ahead, and he was always forward thinking.
My thought was, because when I was a freshman, as I said, I was the only African American on
Yeah.
the team. So the only other person that I had ever roomed with, other than you, Dick, was Jim Arrington.
Yeah.
Jim and Arrington and I roomed together in Pittsburgh two nights, and that was done. Otherwise, Sam usually went on the trips so we could be roommates.
Yeah.
He wasn't eligible.
Because he wasn't playing then, right?
Right, he wasn't playing, George, but he would usually go on the trip so we could have a roommate. Because everywhere we went, we always played a Thursday and a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we move through this, I know, Dallas, just to finish up your part, you finished up your career by winning the championships in 68, and made All-American, and was chosen to try out for the Olympic team. And of course, no D2 player had ever made the Olympic team. So when you and I went out there, we already knew that the odds were stacked against us, of making the team. But it was a great experience, to travel around. Do you recall any of that?
Well, yeah, and we found out that we was as good and better than a lot of those Division I guys. We didn't get the notary that they got, but George and I found out that we not only were we going to, and we had a guy from LIU, Newbo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
George Newbo and I was as good as any guards that they had out there at that Olympic trial. And first thing I remember, first game I played, I think I had to check Pete Maravich, because we played each other like it was, and I think I checked Pete Maravich, and Pete Maravich checked me. I think it was a less defensive game that either one of us ever played in our history. It's okay. Take it when I get back down.
Yeah, but I think listen, I think before that you guys knew that you were better than that. My freshman year when we went up to Western to scrimmage them, when they had Clem and the Smiths and Cunningham and
Greg and
from
Bryce.
Owensboro. From Owensboro.
Or Chapman.
No. Yeah, Wayne Chapman. Yeah.
Chapman, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we even made a one the scrimmage, and that was another war that you started. But anyway, but I think you guys
That
knew
may have
that.
been Sam that started that one out.
Yeah.
I think it was Sam. I was just being a good teammate then.
Okay.
That was Sam and Chapman that got into it.
You always said that, but that's all right. But I think we knew then that we could play with anybody. And don't forget that team got beat in the finals at Air Regional by Button and Cassie Russell, that Michigan team, by a point to go to the Final Four at that time. They were good. They were actually, I think they were better than Michigan. It just wasn't their night. It just wasn't their night. But I remember that scrimmage like it happened today, like it happened this morning. I remember that. Yeah, that was special. That was special.
You kind of roll up your career there at Wesleyan, Dallas. You left with quite a few records that are still standing there at Wesleyan, and one of the top best players to ever play at Kentucky Wesleyan. And and got your degree and so forth. You then went on to the Miami Floridians and played there a couple of years, and then to the Globetrotters. 17 years with the Globetrotters. Can you just kind of highlight a little bit about the Globetrotters and what that meant to you?
Just quite an experience. It, for me, it was the ultimate experience of my life to travel like that. When I was with the Globetrotters, I had opportunity to do things that would have never been a part of my life without having been there. Probably the most significant thing for me was I went to the White House 3 times, met 2 different presidents, and Jimmy Carter was president when I went there. Jimmy Carter later came to Louisville to build houses. Uh, he had his sister call me to see if I wanted to come out and build some houses with them. I didn't even know he knew I exist. But
That was
that's
you. That was humanity.
yes,
Yeah,
Habitat for Humanity,
that's
exactly.
right. That's right. Yeah.
He had them call me. He actually called my mom. My mom told me that somebody called, said they was working for Jimmy Carter. They want you to come build a house. I was like, I'm not going to build no house. Labor was not my expertise.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, George, for 17 years, I went around the world. I was able to meet the royal family. I met the king of Sweden, who I didn't even know had a king until I went there. And we met the king of Sweden. Went to Australia, went to all these places with the Globetrotters, did all these different things, and came back and did 2 different movies. Harlem Globetrotter Rescue, Gilligan from Gilligan Island, and did 2 White Shadow shows. So it was just opportunity after opportunity. I remember when we did the Gilligan Island movie, my son, who God rest his soul, has passed away. He even got to be a part of it. They even told him, and he got a check, and he was on it like 7 years. 7 years.
How about that? How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. Opportunity after opportunity. We got our name, the Harlem Globetrotters, in the sidewalks, in the stars. And at that time, I was the player coach of the Globetrotters when that happened. So that was the opportunity for me to be on NBC, ABC Nightly News.
Yeah, well, Dow, I tell you, that's quite a legacy, man. And when you looking back, you're in the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame, Louisville Male High School Hall of Fame, the Alumni Hall of Fame, and probably numerous other Hall of Fames that I'm not aware of. But great career, man. And I got to say, I'm proud to know that I had a chance to play with you and be a part of it, and we continue our relationship. And I found out later on that we're both born in the same month, same year, same hospital. That I didn't know at the time. So
Unbelievable.
yeah, it is. It is. And so I want to flip over here and talk to my good friend Dick O'Neill real quick and just hear a little bit about Dick. Tell us a little bit about coming to Wesleyan as a freshman, being 6'7", probably weighed 170 pounds, and coming on the team and just getting caught up in all of the fire because you were an uncanny individual. You came in and everybody fell in love with you. You kept us all laughing all the time, and you were because of your size, you weren't afraid to get in there and mix it up and everything. And so tell us about it.
Well, I wasn't 6'7" when I got there. I was only 6'5". I grew 2 inches while I was there. Let me just interject something here. All the times I talked to Coach Jones, Coach Strong, I asked him what his favorite moment was at Wesleyan, and half the time he said Dallas going back and getting his degree after he thought that was something special, and I
Yeah.
know he felt that came from his heart to your heart. You know what I'm saying? I think, but I just had to put that in there because I talked to Coach a lot, and he brought that up quite often. But anyway, when I got there, the first day, if you remember, the upperclassmen weren't there, but Dallas, you came in with George and Joe and Van in his vet. That was funny. I watched you guys
we all
getting out.
three came in that vet.
Anyway, we went over into Quonset and played that night. And you know what? First of all, just going into Quonset was startling. Like this is where we practice. Oh Lord, what have I got into? But anyway, we went over there, played 3-on-3 or whatever it was, and I was like, I can't play here. It didn't take. Uh, I had never played against players like you before. I went to a small high school in New York. Everybody thinks high school, all the schools are huge in New York. There was only 28 of my graduating class, so it tells you a little something. But and I was the best big player in the area, the big at 6'5", if you can say that. But when I got down there, fellas, I was just kind of overmatched. And I called my mother when we got done there because my father still wasn't out of the state of Kentucky driving back home. I said, Mom, I can't play here. She said, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, and you're gonna. And then I called Diane. Don't forget, I was married at the time, and Diane was still home because she was having Lori. But when I called Diane, she said, you're a good enough player. You can play there. And so at, at that point, I said, well, if they believe in me, I'm going to have to believe in myself. And I'll tell you what, if for nothing else, I guarded Sam for 2 years, and I used to every day jump on his back, and he'd get tired of me and flip me off, and then I get back up and get on his back again because none of you guys wanted to guard him. See, and Chapman didn't want to guard him, and there was nobody else, and I was the only other center, so I had him full time. And but I learned a lot, and I learned a lot quickly. All of a sudden, I became a pretty good player in not so long a time, just because of I had to get better playing with you guys, and it was just that simple. It was just that, yeah.
Well, Dick, I recall that first year, which was a pretty tough year for I think a lot of the incoming freshmen. I think Tommy and myself were the only ones who really got an opportunity to play
Right.
a lot of ball with the varsity. And then, of course, and I was starting as a defensive player, primarily and role player with that group. But you were always the key integral part as we went on in our junior and senior year. This is Dallas's senior year, which is your junior year, and your senior year. We won 2 NCAA championships back to back. You played a very integral role, and I got to tell you, I didn't appreciate what you contributed until I went back and looked at the videos. And I remember
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
you were getting rebounds and dribbling down the court.
Oh yeah, yeah, and blocking shots and things that just, I had one skill. I had them long arms, and people took me for granted. So they were
Yeah, you
gonna,
blocked my shots.
yeah, you know what, and that was my skill. That was my skill. That and rebounded. I was a good outlet passer. I got the ball out in a hurry, uh, and I didn't worry about scoring. That was the least of my. I knew what I had to do. I knew what my job was. I knew what my job was.
That was part of your personality and your character, Dick. I think you were a team player and from top to bottom, and on the court and off the court. So you mix very well with everybody. It wasn't just a group, and we had guys we had you from New York. We had guys from Nebo, Kentucky. We had from Whitley County, from Hazard County, and from Louisville. That from the standpoint of exposure, Dallas and I and Van, we played before big crowds, and also Sam, I think, had played before big crowd. But a lot of guys had played in front of big crowds the way we had played.
No, I'll tell you, and I told you this 100 times. The gym, my home gym, the top of the foul circle intersected with the half court circle. That's and it had a stage on one side and fans on the other. And back court was 3/4 court. It was the foul line all the way back. That's what backcourt was. Like I told you, when I got there, I was kind of overwhelmed until I figured out what I had to do, and and you guys made it a little easier for me. That's for sure. That's for sure. You picked up when I was down, you picked it up, and uh, you know, I was there. All I wanted to ever do was win. I didn't care if the end of my career it said you had no points, that would have been fine with me. But put those 3 national championships right alongside them, no points, and that would have been fine with me.
One of the other contributions you made was that you brought your brother there, who was a real musician, and he put Dallas and myself and Joe Bolden together on stage, making money, singing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And don't
I
forget,
told my wife about that. She said, "I'm lying."
It's a true story.
and my brother
Drugs.
and my brother Pat came our
Yeah,
senior year.
yeah,
My brother,
Pat
and
came.
I was there with both my brothers at the time, who have now
Yeah,
passed. But
yeah,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
yeah, that was Danny was good that way. I know he had a lot of fun with you guys. He talk about it all the time. He talk
yeah.
about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got to know your dad real well too when he would
Yeah.
Yeah.
come down and visit as well.
We was headlining to 30 Souls. One of the joint that
I'll never
carried
forget
about
we
5,000
performed.
people at the sports center.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'll
Yeah.
never forget that we performed at the sports center, and we had to, for some unknown reason I won't mention, we had to take our shirt tails out, and we had these real faulty shirts, and we performed, and we got paid I got for $100 a piece, I think,
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
we
look,
did.
you
We
do
got
what you
some
which was big money then.
you do what you had to do.
Yeah.
That was 6 months worth of laundry on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beat that. It was our NIL money, right?
Oh yeah, that was our NIL
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
so Dick, and in talking, tell us about your career after playing at Wesleyan.
well, the only thing I wanted to do, going back, you guys play for 2 tough coaches. So did I. My high school coach was a replica of Coach Strong. He played at Seton Hall with Walter Dukes. And I don't know if you remember Walter Dukes. You should be old enough. Yeah. Yeah. And they won the NIT when it was the NIT and that kind of thing. But he was also an ex-Marine with a shaved haircut. And he didn't want to hear nothing about me or anything else. It's just kind of like it wasn't his way. It wasn't the Navy way. It wasn't this way. It was his way, or there was a problem. And I learned quickly. And then I thought, when I went to college, I said, who could be any tougher than? And it took me about 15 minutes to find out how that worked out. So, I owe a great deal of debt to both of them. To both of them, put me on my way. And the reason I went into coaching, George, I have to be honest with you, is I thought if I could do for one kid what what my high school coach and Coach Strong did for me, then I would be happy. Then I would be a success. Leaving wins and losses out of it. If I can do something for one kid in that period, that would have made me very happy. And as a result, I did a little more than that over the years. I just, they were just, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't, for first 13 years, I coached in an all white Catholic high school. And then after that, when I left the first high school, I went up state to a really situation kind of like Louisville. It was they were in hard times, and most of my kids were black and Hispanic, and I turned into Coach Strong surrogate. I was buying them Christmas presents, and if I had to take them on a visitation, I'd have to buy them a sport coat and some shoes, and I'm not patting myself on my back. I just did what I had to do.
Yeah, once again, as I mentioned, your character and the kind of person you are, that's picking it up with your high school coach and coach and at Wesleyan and so forth, Coach Strong. It has resonated with you, and of course, even today, you're one of the linchpins in keeping us all together over the past 60 years or so that we have coming together and having our reunions and so forth. So
Well,
that's big.
Well, Coach Strong had a little bit on that because he kind of put a little onus on me because he was asking, well, how's this guy doing? How's that guy doing? And I couldn't tell him because, at the point when we first left college, we kind of got lost with ourselves. We were all doing, Dallas was around the world. You're traveling with the pros. I'm trying to get my career going. So we were raising our families. It wasn't until we were like 20 years in that we started to know about your families and your
Yeah.
children. And it became a whole different situation. George, I talked to you last week about this. Dallas, I want you to jump in on here. Doing something with your teammates is a bonding thing. I don't care how you do it, how you go about it, win, lose, or draw, mostly if they're winning. But when you win at the top of your level and you can't win anymore and you're the best team in the country, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole nother level of bonding and realizing. I look around that locker room and I'm saying, look, all we got this done. We got this done at the highest level we can do. And to me, that's a whole different situation than winning a high school game or a high school tournament or something to that effect. So, at least that's the way I feel. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think that I know Tommy feels that way. I know Tommy feels that way.
Yeah, you are correct when you look back and you look at what we accomplished together at Wesleyan. 3 out of the 4 years you and I were there, Dick, and 2 years out when you were there, Dallas. Is that we ended the year at you didn't get any better. We ended on the championship, didn't lose any games, and so forth. But I got to think that there's some records in there, and that's one of the main reasons why our teams have been nominated for the Naismith Hall of Fame. So as we move through the closing of this, two things I want to ask both of you. One is, what would you say to any young player out there today that would fit the Wesleyan mold? How would you recommend them attending Wesleyan? And also, what would you say if the Hall of Fame committee were listening today as to why our teams, all three, should, as a matter of fact, all four, in the year we came in third place, we probably had our best team on paper and really players who just weren't able to pull it off. Yeah. Of course, we lost one, and I don't take credit for that loss now because I was in the hospital. So
Yeah, we know that. You've told me that 1,000 times, by the
yeah.
way.
So what would you
You
say?
know,
Well, I think that to I think that we was able as a team to do things that we was projected to do only because we was a team. We didn't have a lot of individuality on any of those teams. It was team. We ate together, we stayed together, we slept together, and we played together.
And we fought together.
And we fought. Yeah, well, we fought together. Usually behind something that happened that I may have created.
and I think because we were so small, numbers wise, that
Yeah,
people kind of didn't figure, they kind of took us for granted that, we were a flash in the pan and that, we wouldn't be able to succeed at that level. Like the junior year, just you and Dallas were coming back. And now me, Joe, and Tommy got into the starting lineup, and Buck Irwin was playing behind, and I think was Jimmy there? Was Jimmy there as a freshman?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy and Eugene.
Yeah, and we started off a little rough. I remember getting beat up at Central State. And we had a few other. Who else? I was trying to think of that last night. I don't have that information because I'm back in the apartment.
we only lost 3 games that year, right?
That's the year we went on and won 21 straight.
Yeah.
We won 20 straight. That was that year. And they were still disrespecting us. We won the regional in Jackson, Tennessee, and neither one of you were the MVP of the tournament in that tournament.
Right.
And I know, and Ernie went off. You at Dallas, you had to go get him. He ran over to that scorer's table And what he was saying to them people was not printable. I am telling you that. And you went and got him and said, you turned around and all of us say, let's get out of here. Let's get
Well,
out of here.
Dick, unfortunately, in those years, Dallas and I kind of canceled each other out because we kind of split the vote, and that let somebody else slide in there.
But one of you should have been the MVP. I don't care about any other things. One of you should have been the MVP, and I don't understand that. And then again, we go and win the tournament. We beat Indiana State, coming back in a great game, and they give the damn thing to Jerry Newsom. And I was like, how can that be?
And I held him to 4 points that game, that championship game.
Judge, they had Jerry Newsom, the big 6'9" guy, and Bugsy Hume was all time.
Rich Mason was the big guy.
All of them was all time, and we beat them. And plus, we had already beat them
At home. We beat them earlier in the year in their place.
So what would you say to some of the young players out there today that are not, the high ranked players, that Wesleyan would be a good fit for them?
Well, I think what are you trying to do? And I'm talking to a young man now. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to be? Because let me tell you this, in reality, there's 31 NBA teams. That's about 310 jobs. There's 300 and some college teams, and you're only going to get a job if you qualify for it. So what do you want to do? If you want to get an education, Wesleyan is a great place. I guarantee you, I promise you that Kentucky Wesleyan has probably one of the highest rated graduation rates of any college sport, of any level, any level. Look at this. Here we are, 3 guys, 60 years ago, we all graduated from college. When nobody was talking, I thought graduating was important. Now, George and I, and Dick, even in your career, we had plans in case we didn't graduate. But we graduated. Yeah. Man, that team that you talking about, them 6 freshmen that came in with you, for all 6 of y'all to go through 4 years of college, that don't happen anyway anymore.
No.
But to go through 4 years of college and all 6 of you march down the aisle and pick up your diploma at the end of 4 years.
That was awesome, Dallas. That was awesome. That was something special. Right.
And it would still be today, because athletes now with the NIL, athletes don't even think past next year.
No.
What would you say, Dick?
You know what? I think it's tough coming in as a freshman. I didn't even want to go to college. That's why Diane and I got married. I was going to go out and make my $1 million right away. And I went out and I didn't make $1 million. I said, no, this is not what I wanted to do. No, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. And, I found it, and I taught the kids about kind of sticking their face in there. If they face in some kind of adversity, just stick your face in there and deal with it, and either make the best of it and try to make the best of it. I said, going to Kentucky Wesleyan was the best thing that ever happened to me. Let me fulfill my dreams of being a high school coach. It sustains me to this day that when people know, he played on 3 national championship teams, or he won 400 and some odd basketball games, and that kind of thing. That notoriety is nice, but the fact that, like you said, Dallas, 60 years later, we're still here talking to each other, and we're being happy, and we've had great careers, and we were able to do things that we probably never even dreamed about in our time.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, George, I know we running out of time. But I would just like to say this. This is the last thing I'd say. That if this committee, this Hall of Fame committee, if they could go back and do research on not just our 4 teams, but on the college, Kentucky Wesleyan, from that period to now, I guarantee you we're in the top 5% of graduates.
Oh, no question. I agree with you. I agree.
And championships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 8 championships
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and hundreds of graduates.
yeah, yeah.
You know what? And if we're doing the final thing here, I could just say this: Kentucky Wesleyan let me live out my dreams, and that's the best I could say.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Well, guys, I want to bring it to the close by once again thanking both of you for taking time out of your schedule. Thank you for your friendship over the 60, in your case, Nick, 60 years, Dallas, in your case, 63 plus years that we've been friends. One of the things about our teams and our relationships is that today, 60 plus years later, we still talk to each other at least one time every quarter. And in some cases, I know, Dick, in your case, I'm talking to you at least once a month. And Dallas, when you answer the phone, I'm talking to you almost one time a month. And that's been my
I
pleasure.
have my ringer off right now.
It's been my pleasure to actually attend both of you being inducted into Hall of Fame. You, Dallas, and we've been inducted together in a number of Hall of Fames, and when you've been inducted by yourself to attend, as well as you, Dick, to attend your Hall of Fame as a coach. So your families, I'm close to your families, you're close to my family. So I think that in itself, in a nutshell, talks about what Kentucky Wesleyan has meant and brought together as far as our group. And unfortunately, I couldn't have Tommy and Danny and some of the other guys on today with the podcast, but I wanted to make sure that I got you all on and you had a chance to be a part of this. This podcast is all about turning obstacles into opportunities. Just kind of about my book, Catch as Catch Can, and your contribution certainly makes a big difference. So I appreciate both of you being involved.
Thank you, George. Thank you for having us. And my anxiety is just now receding from this podcast.
Yeah. All I could say is this, George. This is how I want to end it, right like that. Okay? Yeah. That's that.
Now, I gotta put my little thing up there.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon.
This has been Catch as Catch Can. Your success story is waiting to be written. What will you catch today? Go to tinsleyspeaks.com for exclusive content, resources, and opportunities. Catch as Catch Can with George Tinsley Sr. is a production of Advantage Media.